One example of the religious right's resistance to universal health care, stem cell cures, and vaccines for various illnesses is a study last year by a Christian family values organization confirmed that this younger generation has way too much self-esteem. So parents, get out there and start yelling at your teenage and 20-age daughters every day that they're stupid and lazy. And that they're also uninformed, obsessed with their looks, lack moral standards, and dress like a whore. And what are they doing Saturday? That James Dobson guy encouraged the religious right to pray for rain during the Democratic convention on a video on YouTube. Not only was his prayer not answered, but the weather was so beautiful, mildly warm with a light, cool breeze, and a bright, sunshiny afternoon, that I think I saw the sun smile and wink at Sheryl Crow while she sang, "A change will do us good." That prayer was not answered, but instead God decided to rain blessed anointing of perfect weather on all those days. Then, as soon as the Democratic convention was over, and every Democrat safely home, like the Israelites safely on the other side of the Red Sea after it had been parted, then came the onslaught of not one, not two, not three, not four, but 5 Category 3 and 4 hurricanes, back to back, hitting the Gulf, barely touching New Orleans this time, but instead hitting all of the Republican stronghold regions in Florida, the Gulf area, and even the eastern Atlantic southern coast area. It was inconvenient for the Republican convention and the worst timing imaginable, especially because then they had to pretend to be concerned with the well-being of people in the paths of the hurricanes. They had to appear to make up for their negligence with Katrina and other failures. You think God may be sending a message? Hey, James Dobson, I'm sorry, Dr. Dobson, you made me a believer in miracles. By the way, if you as a parent think your daughter having sex is worse than your daughter getting cancer, you're parenting wrong. Last year, modern medicine came up with a way to greatly reduce cervical cancer in young women. It's a vaccine that virtually wiped out the sexually transmitted disease called HPV, which leads to cancer. But not everyone was pleased with this vaccine. There are Christian values groups and churches nationwide who are still fighting it and claiming it has side effects to spread propaganda to erode confidence in the vaccine. Bridget Marr, formerly of the Family Research Council, says giving girls the vaccine is bad because, quote, the girls may see it as a license to engage in premarital sex. Hey, Mrs. Sarah Palin, let me tell you something. Your daughters are already on the internet exchanging love fantasies with boys they met on MySpace. Forget HPV, she's on to PDA. And Mrs. McCain, I'm sure I don't have to tell you, there's only one foolproof method to make a woman abstinent: marry her. So let's review. HPV is an STD that the CDC vaccinated teens PDQ, and that's not sitting well with the Harper Valley PTA. They think if a teenage girl feels a little shot in the arm, she's going to want to feel a whole lot more. But HPV shots don't cause promiscuity. Tequila shots do. And MTV. And having more parents you want to escape from. Hey, when you're 15 years old, breathing encourages sexual activity. These values groups aren't just against the HPV shot. They're against family planning, birth control, condoms, and the morning after pills. They want to make sure sex is as dangerous as possible so the kids know if they sleep around and get an STD, that's God teaching them a lesson. And that lesson is, your sin has brought God's wrath on our family. You're not godly enough. And now Pat Robertson won't autograph your NIV Bible. Now, I know our kids are dumb because they're poorly educated in underfunded public schools. But will they really have sex with anything that moves just because they know there's a vaccine? People don't get the vaccine for typhoid and say, great, now I can drink the sewer water in Bombay. It's like being against a cure for blindness because it'll encourage ambation. It's like being for salmonella poisoning in peanut butter because it'll discourage weirdos from using it inappropriately. If this isn't nonsense you're teaching your kids, they're already screwed.